I think Indonesia wants, and to a certain extent need to be in the EV supply chain ecosystem because we have the willingness and also the ingredients to be there and contributing to the world.
Anin Bakri is the Chief Executive Officer, President Director of Bakri and Brothers. You are from Indonesia, and he's making a pitch for South Africa and what's going on in your country, and everyone seems to be competing for a piece of this chain.
I think Indonesia wants, and to a certain extent need to be in the EV supply chain ecosystem because we have the willingness and also the ingredients to be there and contributing to the world. Below the ground, we have critical minerals such as nickel. 22% of nickel is in Indonesia. Tin, copper, bauxite in the top 5 in terms of resources in the world. And above the ground, we have the renewable energy potentials such as geothermal, hydro, solar, wind. And the government is planning in the next 15 years to install 100 gigawatt, in which 75% coming from renewable energy. So 75 gigawatt, which is the same with the whole installation so far in Indonesia. And also we're very proud with the biodiversity that we have. With the forests, peatland, mangroves, coral, we're looking at 500 gigatons of carbon capture. And to a certain extent, really, that's how we're going to probably finance a lot of these initiatives of downstreaming. And plus, of course, 285 million people is a lot of people. And if you look at Southeast Asia, that's 800 million people. So that's a big market. But also, most importantly, Indonesia wants to do this because we're still importing oil. So subsidy is still there. So we rather use the money for something else. But I think for the global supply chain, Indonesia wants not only to produce battery materials, for example, in this case for EV, but we want to also focus on how we produce it. Because I think Indonesia has the possibility, imagine we have the concept of building battery materials using green energy while respecting the carbon emission, right? And Indonesia can do it. A lot of the companies that we have in Indonesia is already supplying not to only China. I know we are going to be talking about China, which has tremendous technology, right? But also to Europe with Eramet, for example, the company, or Volkswagen, or to the US, with Ford, for example. So the big standard like IRMA 50, hopefully in September, Indonesia as a whole can do that. So I think Indonesia is open for business. We would like to say we're equal opportunity supplier for the sake of discussion. And I think that's why it's quite exciting. And one more angle I would like to add, as you know, Indonesia is an archipelago. We have 17,000 islands, but that's a little bit of misnomer because we have 5 big, very big islands, right? So by nature, I think the concept of industrial clusters is important for us, and that could attract a lot of technology, talents, investment coming in. So for example, World Economic Forum is big on this transitioning net zero industrial cluster, in which we are a part of. So I think that's why this discussion is very timely. We have a new president 90 days ago, inaugurated. And one of his main agenda is to do a good downstreaming in every single critical minerals. So I think that's why I think we can hopefully make an impact. Last thing I want to say, one more thing, geopolitics. So while people can say many things about geopolitics, with the IRA and also the standard of European, but I think if we believe in making a resilient and also efficient supply chain, we also have to be realistic in terms of the technology, because it is still, pretty much today, a lot of it is coming from China. 60% of the EV sales, 70% of the battery sales is still there. So to be able to maneuver this in a good way, I think it's important for the world.
So you say you're equal opportunity, but it seems like a lot of the support you've had is from China and the deals.
China is an early mover, yes. But having said that, we would like to balance, with the Western world. For example, in our group, we have this initiative called INBC, which is Industrial Net Zero Battery Consortium, which focus on the Western world because we believe the Western world, European and also UK and of course the US need nickel battery materials. And we also want to try to be, at one point in time, the gold standard of processing battery materials. So being able to also comply to some of these standards, I think is a good thing for Indonesia. And by the way, our constitution is always non-aligned, so might as well do it for business while it makes sense. Yeah.
We now have the CEO of Tesla basically effectively like vice president of the United States. What do you think that could mean for the EV business in the United States? Will it... Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it actually can be a good thing, for example, for Indonesia or Southeast Asia. Because I think the US, investing in the US in technology, in EV in this case, or EIV, at the end of the day, that's good for the software part. But on the hardware part, I think the sustainable, resilient, and also affordable, I guess, efficient supply chain is needed. So, for example, right now, the US, at least in the last few years, has focused a lot on IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act. We don't know how it's going to look like, whether there's going to be more bilateral deals. But I think for Indonesia, that is starting from lower ground because we don't have yet free trade agreement with the US. I think this can be an upside and I think a win-win collaboration.